behind Together Levenmouth. Now, this is Bragg Enterprises that run this, and they're going to be talking about the future of Levenmouth, where we're going with things, how we're doing things, what we've done so far, what we've achieved so far. So I'm going to bring on the team to talk about it in general. If you get an opportunity, please take time to share this on your feed with everybody else. See if you can pull other people in so we can all have an open discussion and you can ask questions towards the end. So I'm going to bring in the team just now. So let's talk about first of all, Bragg Enterprises and Levenmouth, Together Levenmouth. Now, we're going to hear about the origins of Bragg from Brian in a minute. If everybody can just keep their question, you can ask questions all the way through this, by the way, but we'll just keep questions towards the very end, and we'll have a roundup as well of all the questions that are asked on this. So if you need to ask questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. We will get them at the end. So we're going to cover over to you, Brian. And you're going to talk about the background of Bragg. What is Bragg? And a quick look at what we do.
Okay, thanks, Jim. And thanks to the invite, and thanks to everybody who's kind of listening in and or will watch the recording of this at a later date. In relation to Bragg, Bragg was set up in 1988 as a registered charity, and it was one of Scotland's first social enterprises. Bragg actually stands for Benarty Regeneration Action Group, and for those that don't know, Benarty is a cluster of villages in central Fife between the Benarty Hill before you hit the Kinross border and Lochgelly, and there's a cluster of villages there, and we're located in Cross Hill and have been for many years. And Bragg was set up by the community. Now, at the time in the 80s, this was when we had high unemployment, we had a Conservative government, and there was the closure of the pits and heavy industry in Fife, and there was high unemployment in that area. So Bragg was set up by members of the community themselves, and it's always took pride in the fact that it's a community-led organisation. Our board are all made up of local people. And a lot of what has happened within the Benarty area is really what we're trying to replicate within the Levenmouth area. You know, we've learned a lot over the 30 years that we've been going. And looking at our track record, I mean, in the last 30 years, we reckon we've helped about 19,000 people into work across Fife. We've also set up about 2,700 social enterprises or small businesses, and that's predominantly our bread and butter is helping small business, helping people into work, and we've done it very successfully. We've got a good track record of it, and the people who fund us and support us know that, and it allows us to take on new projects. In relation to Levenmouth, I think the board about 5-6 years ago took the view that there was areas in Fife that we could lend a hand, and I use that term in the nicest sense, the fact that there was a recognition that Levenmouth needed that helping hand in relation to help regenerate itself, both helping people into work and helping that inclusive growth that Scottish Government were talking about. So in 2016 we moved into the area. Now, predominantly that was through our employment and training work that we were doing. Many people won't know, but we are the lead partner in the Fife Employment and Training Consortium, and we moved that whole operation from Cross Hill to Leven, so we could focus on the Levenmouth area. And we took up space originally down in Metal Harbour before we then took over Thompson House, which we now own. So it's been a big transition for us, and it was at that point, probably about 3 years ago, the concept of setting up Together Levenmouth, or Levenmouth Together as it was then known, was a kind of direction of travel for us. And I think in that short time that we've been in Levenmouth, and the commitment we've made, we've purchased Thompson House, which is now Levenmouth Community Enterprise Centre. We've got about 13 small businesses that are based there. All of the Bragg services are based there. So the team tonight are based there. employability team are based there. And certainly in relation to what we've done in the area, we've already worked with over 1,100 people, with almost half of those moving into employment. We've also helped 76 people start up their own businesses in the area. So I think we've shown that in a short period of time we can have an impact. Granted, this whole Together Levenmouth was a brand new concept for us, was a new idea, but it really played on many of the things that we learned from the work that we did in the Benarty area. So Benarty has a community lottery, Benarty has an events group, Benarty has a heritage group. So these were all things that were set up in the community and responded to the local need. And we thought, these are things that could also happen within the Levenmouth, and together can help give people community pride and give people something to get involved in. At the same time, we're accepting there's a lot of investment coming into the Levenmouth area with the railway. We're seeing some fantastic work that Feet are doing at Silverburn as well. And what we're trying to do is make the area attractive again to visitors. We're trying to make it a place where we can create jobs and opportunities. I think in the past, the strategy has been to try and attract inward investment and bring the big companies in. And I think that is still a strategy that's worth pursuing. I think Harlan Wolf's a good example of that. But I think we've also got to allow the community themselves to grow business and prosper. And I think with all the debate that's going on about the death of the traditional high street, we thought there was an opportunity for us to come up with some new models and to test these new models. And it's some of the things that the guys will tell you about tonight. As well as us coming up with these new regeneration activities, we've also got to accept that there's a lot of people within the area that are living in poverty. So some of the services that we offer tackle that as well. So as well as helping people into work, we've got families projects that support people living in social isolation or needing support just because of the fact that they're in poverty. So we're really trying to provide a broad brush, but provide lots of little interventions in different ways. And we're trying to give it very much a Levenmouth identity, because we didn't want a situation that people perceived us as just parachuting into the area, doing something short term, and then parachuting back out again. We've kind of taken the view that Bragg is a Fife-based organisation now, and our job is to alleviate poverty by providing jobs and opportunities for everybody, and we'll support anybody that tries to do that. And I'm really excited about it, and I know the team are excited about it, and they'll hear about, you'll hear about some of those things that we've been doing and will continue to do over the next few years. But we've made a long-term commitment. We have made a long-term commitment. I got criticised by Sue the last time for saying we've made a 15-year commitment. I only say that because we have a 15-year mortgage on Thompson House. But I would say that we have a long-term commitment to the area. But we're fixed, certainly at the moment, by it's at least 15 years until we pay the mortgage. So I'm really looking forward to it. I love the area. Although I live in West Fife, I remember many a fond time having a summer holiday or a summer break in the Leven area. And I remember those halcyon days, and I'd love to be Leven a destination that people across Scotland talk about and want to come to, particularly when the railway opens.
Yeah, personally for me, I think it's an undiscovered area now, because people have actually left it for so long. And now it's come to the forefront, and you guys are doing a fantastic job of doing that.
I always kind of described it as the land that time forgot. And the fact that for various reasons, whether it was connectivity, it's almost you come down that Sandon Road, and it's almost like you go into another world. And it has such beauty about it. And I think a lot of people have forgotten that and have passed it by to get up the Nook or wherever. And I think there's some real opportunities for us to create jobs and opportunities that are driven by new people coming to live and stay and work and access leisure activities within the area, and that's going to create lots of new opportunities. Success breeds success, and we've got the best landscape in the world to do that.
Perfect.
So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to stop talking because I could probably talk all night. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand you over to Liz, and she's going to tell you a bit more.
Thanks, Brian. So, who are Together Levenmouth now? They started off as Levenmouth Together. So, Levenmouth Together was a project that's been managed by Bragg, and initially it was set up in the summer of 2019 with funding from Fife Council. And the main aims of the project was to encourage visitors to the Levenmouth area with an emphasis on the High Street. It's also, another aim is to encourage local people to get involved in their communities by volunteering, whether that be events or just activities that are going on in the area. So the team for Together Levenmouth is Sue, who's here today. She's Bragg's enterprise manager, and she's successfully run quite a few of her own businesses. I'm not going to say a number because I'll get it wrong. She even run a social enterprise successfully as well, and she's been responsible for setting up a lot of social enterprises in Fife with the FSEN, sorry. And she is just passionate about companies and organisations doing good for the communities that they serve. So she's absolutely the best person to lead this project. We've got Shell, my colleague. Just like myself, we are both local to the Levenmouth area. Both of us, we remember in the 80s, I think it was, I moved through to Fife, 1985. The whole country was hit by a really, really bad recession. And in the cities, you've got shops shutting left, right and centre, but you couldn't see that in Leven. You couldn't see it in Buckhaven. Buckhaven had a high street. Do you know what I mean? It was busy in all these wee towns and villages. And you could get anything just by walking down to Lower Methil. You could get a pair of shoes down there. And it was great days. They were absolutely fantastic days. And we'd love to get it back to that stage. Just as Brian was saying, there's a lot of fond memories from growing up in this area. So what we want to do is to regenerate the area. So one of the big things that we're trying to do is encouraging people to get involved. So we need feedback, whether it's volunteering or just telling us what you think. What would you like to see? How do you think we could help the area? And why we're doing it now is because, as Brian touched on earlier, it's really exciting times for Levenmouth. There's been great work done by lots of community organisations. Just the Levenmouth Real campaign, just for a start. I mean, what they've achieved is absolutely astronomical. So now's the time to put things in place for those visitors that are going to come when we get that network up and running. So yeah, that's what we plan to do. So what we'll do is to measure it, the how of that. We'll be measuring footfall to the high streets with Fife Council, and we'll be asking for feedback from visitors and people who are coming to our markets and events, just to find out what the conversations are like, what people are thinking. And so now I'm going to pass it over to Shell, who's going to tell you a wee bit about our past events.
Hiya, thanks Liz. So we started off with the Food and Drink Festival. When I first started, actually, I had only started about 2 weeks, and then we got thrown into the Food and Drink Festival. There was 27 stalls, there was face painting, school choirs, street artists, and we brought in, I think, over 12,000 people just to the market. Some of the shops said it was the best day ever when we asked for feedback. Following that, we had the Sunsea and Sound at Silverburn Park. We had 2 outdoor movies and a silent disco. We sold over 150 family tickets, and we also gave away some to the local families. The feedback from that was 100% positive. The next event was Runfest. Over 200 people signed up, most out with the area, bringing even more spectators. The racers said that it was one of the best races that they had ever participated in because of the different terrain that they ran on. It was absolutely scorching that day, and when the last racer crossed the line, we just managed to get the flags down and the barriers in because the tide came in so quick at the final moments. Following that, we had the pop-up business school. It was only the second one in Scotland to be hosted. We were partnered with Fife Council to bring this week-long course for anyone wanting to turn their passion into a business proposition. The next event we had was Fair in the Square. Over 2,000 people attended and 250 kids spent time with Santa. We would have loved more kids to be involved, but obviously there was time constraints. We had a Ferris wheel, and it was the old school one, so when you rocked back and forward, you weren't caged in. You actually thought you were going to fall out of it. Some people didn't want to ride it, but it was totally safe. 1,885 people actually rode that, and we had 31 traders come along. The next event was World Book Day. We had over 100 people and families coming along with stories in the Bookbug Corner, the Mad Hatter Tea Party with the Gruffalo and Bookbug. And last but not least, we helped the Leven Project gather their consultations at our events as well as different venues in the Levenmouth area. We obviously had lots and lots of other events planned, however, then COVID happened and we had to cancel all of them. However, Levenmouth Together was not halted by this. We went out and joined forces with the pantry and delivered over 3,000 packages, food parcels to families in need in the area. So I think we really contributed really well when we got hit by that. Sad times, but we stepped up to the mark. That's me, actually, guys. I can just pass you over to Sue now, please.
Okay, so this is supposed to be 2 slides. Along with it. So you might be confused because sometimes we say Together Levenmouth, sometimes we say Levenmouth Together. So I'm just going to explain what we were Levenmouth Together, and those of you that are a little bit more sleuth-like might have noticed that it's suddenly changed over to Together Levenmouth on our page, if you like our Facebook page. If you don't, go and like it now. The reason we did that was, I don't know if you know, but there is another project out there run by the police called Improving Levenmouth Together. It's an amazing project about the antisocial behaviour in Levenmouth, but we didn't want to get the two things confused as we did more and more promotion. So we decided just to change the name a little bit. We loved our tree, so we kept that, and we had some help putting some sub-names together, which is the next slide. If you can put that on for me, please, Jim.
Perfect.
Lovely, thanks. So Together Levenmouth, this is what we are heading up. All the little leaves that you see there represent the different kind of sub-brands that we're looking at. You'll know that the W.H. Smith building on the High Street, or if you don't know, we have bought that, and we are going to turn that into 2 escape rooms, 2 indoor crazy golf courses, a gift shop, which will have tourist information as well, a hub cafe, which will just be a small cafe to serve the people coming to play the golf and go into the escape room. It will also have in their exhibition space. That's where you'll be able to find out what's going on about, in Levenmouth, whether it be the River Leven project or anything like that. And it will have a party room as well, so that you can come in and book the room when you're playing golf, and if you want your birthday party there, or you want to do that for somebody else. So that's what's going to be happening in the hub. That's really exciting. As if that wasn't enough, we are also doing a community lottery just now, which Shell will be telling you more about later on. We've got the Artisan market, which hopefully you've all been to that. If you haven't, again, make sure you get along. And again, Shell will be telling you about that. We've got the Together Levenmouth events. Shell's told you about some of the events we've had in the past, and Liz is going to update you on some in the future. You see that I've got 3 little more icons there, which are from the colours of the leaf. 2 reasons there. One is because it made it nice and neat, and the guys will tell you I'm really OCD about things like that. And And the second is because those 3 colours will represent future ideas. So if you guys have got ideas, once we've got all this underway and once this is all running really well, we want to hear your ideas. We want to hear about what else we can do in the community under that tree, under the Together Levenmouth tree. Now, as Liz touched on, all the profits from Together Levenmouth will be going back into the community. So we're going to be looking at doing youth projects and all sorts of things. So again, she said, we really want you to be involved in all of that. I think that is now me passing you over. No, it's not. It's me again. I need though is a new slide, please, Jim. Okay, so you've got the Hub Cafe. This is where I was pointing in the info evening, but I can't do that now. You'll see in the bottom left-hand space there, that's the little gift shop. I don't know if you can use your pointer there, Jim, on the map. Yeah, so that's going to be the gift shop and the tourist information. Just next to that, we've got the party room. Then we've got the 2 activity rooms next to that, or the escape rooms. We've got the cafe at the front. So this is basically the plans. It might not be exactly like this, but this is generally what the plans are going to be. Kitchen in the middle, and then we've obviously got the 2 golf courses that are going to run there, 2 9-hole courses. Then we're going to have some toilets that go down to the basement. There'll be the public toilets, and there's a disabled toilet upstairs. So that is what we've got going on in the hub. If you could go to the next slide then, Jim, for me.
You're with me. There we go.
Brilliant. So I'm going to talk to you now about the escape rooms. Like I said, we've got 2. The first escape room is called It's a Steal. And this basically is going to give you 1 hour to break into the local department store. You've got to get into the vault and you've got to retrieve the item that the local crime boss has stolen from you. Now, this could be, if it's small enough, this could actually be a personal item of someone's. So if you are planning a party, that would be ideal. You can actually take the remote from your husband. Can you imagine that? Hide it away in the vault for an hour to get it back. So that's going to be a really fun game. And we've got the second game, which is called Level 99. That's going to be like a kind of retro arcade game. You're going to feel like you're part of the game. And the idea of that one, I think that's up for up to 10 people. The idea of that one is that you can go in and you've got to earn enough points or get enough points so that you unlock a secret level called Kill the Boss. So if you've had a really bad day at work, the girls always laugh at this as if it was done personally. There was nothing personal in it, Brian, honestly.
She's lying.
So again, if you've had a bad day, that would be brilliant. Get you and your
I knew I should have seen the brief before it went in.
Come along, and that's going to be a load of fun, I think. And then I think I am now passing over to Liz, who's going to tell you about our Crazy Golf.
Thanks for that, Sue. So this is my favourite part, yeah. I can't help, I just get excited every time I think about these crazy golf courses. So there will be 2 9-hole, I think I said before 8 holes, they're not, they're 9-hole golf courses, which can be played either separately or together. So one will be a beginner's course, so it's suitable for kids or people who are just not that great with a golf club and just want to try it. And the advanced course, so that's there for the competitive people. So this picture that you see here is part of the section that is going to be the UV section. So there's several holes that will be basically under UV light. So you'll be playing in the dark with specific parts lit up, and you'll have luminous golf balls. So that'll be quite fun. But this one, I don't know if you can see it properly, but it's actually a pair of glasses. Now, every single hole on the courses represents either a Fife landmark or a Fife icon. Now, this one represents Auchtermuchty. Now, it's only one pair of glasses, but there is a mirror there beside it, so it reflects it. So it makes 2 pairs of glasses. Now, that represents Auchtermuchty's favourite sons, the Proclaimers. So this is quite fun. So when the ball is successfully putted into the hole, the lights, I'm laughing because the first couple of times I've done this, I said it all wrong. But when the ball goes into the hole, the lights will start flashing, disco lights will be flashing, and then 500 miles will start playing from the speakers. So it'll be like a wee party just round about that one hole. But the different holes they're pretty awesome. Another glow in the dark one is it Lukers Airfield, Sue?
Yeah, we've got Lucas, and then we've got the racetrack as well at Knockhill.
Yeah, Knockhill, that's a good one as well. Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of fun for the whole family. It'll be great for work nights out as well as the Kill the Boss escape room. So yeah, I just can't wait to have a shot, seriously. So next up, I'm going to pass you over now to, who is it now? I'm just seeing Sue.
Shell. We're on to Shell next.
Shell with the lottery.
So the community lottery has been distributed around 24 local businesses. They are all in the Levenmouth area, and you can find the map on our community lottery page. If you haven't liked it yet already, please do. The draw will be once a week. You pick 6 numbers from 24, and we will do a live draw in the shops who are selling our tickets each week, Friday at 3 p.m. on our community lottery page. So there is a percentage of it that goes back into the local economy. The 10% goes as commission to the outlets that are selling our tickets. A percentage also goes into the community chest. I believe Sue touched on that earlier. So anybody, pardon?
And that's
45%. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 45% of that goes back into the community chest. Anybody in the Levenmouth area can apply for it for events or sports attire or anything. It's no close to anybody. And then the 20% goes back into the actual winnings of the lottery.
Yeah, so I think 25% for prize money.
We have a winner if you have 4 numbers, we have a winner for 5 numbers, and winners for 6 numbers. So we're hoping that there is a winner every single week. Like I said, live 3 o'clock every single week on the community lottery page. Please buy the tickets, because this is for the Levenmouth area only, and all the proceeds go back into Levenmouth.
Probably important to say, Shell, that the breakdown is actually on the website. How the money is split. So I would direct everybody to the website in the first instance. I think what we've got as well is and correct me if I'm wrong here, but we accumulate the winning, the jackpot each week. So if it's not won, the jackpot accumulates week on week.
It will accumulate, but we will have a payout every quarter, Brian, so that it's not going on and on and on and on, and so people don't get bored. So every quarter, if it's not been won after 3 months, we will force a win, if you see what I mean. So keep your eye out on the website, guys. It's www.togetherlevenmouth.co.uk, and you'll find all the information in there. Is that you, Shell?
Yep.
Perfect.
So we're going to talk about the market, Shell.
Yeah, so we started the markets after our very first market, the Food and Drink Festival. We had hired a company to do this for us. It was so much of a success that we decided to try it on our own. Since then, we have grew to have about 41 traders at our events. The local people and the traders suggested that we do it twice monthly. We tried it. It didn't work. It seemed to dilute the footfall, and the traders were paying double the amount for the same amount of footfall. So we've dropped it back to 1 a month. So we are having our artisan markets the 2nd Saturday of each month. We are buying our own gazebos, as you can see in the pictures, and the tables. It just makes it feel more homely, I feel like. It's not just the farmers market stalls. It look really, really good. So fingers crossed, by the next market, we should have all these tables and gazebos. If nothing goes wrong, we should have all of them. And please do come along and support us, because we need you guys to keep this moving forward. If you don't use it, you lose it.
I think what I would say is the whole concept of the artisan market is to bring a different footfall in as well, bring new people to the area. So if we have people on holiday up the Nook, or even Kirkcaldy, Glenrothes, Cooper, it's a good reason to come to Leven. And that's really what we're trying to do. And certainly the research we've done since we started them demonstrates that most of the people that come to the area came because the market was on. And it brings not only footfall to the market, but importantly footfall to the existing businesses in the high street. And I think that was part of our main aim, was to bring additional footfall. And both the artisan market and the hub will allow us to make that even more an attractive proposition.
Each market we bring between 1,000 and 2,000 people to the high street, and 60% of the people who came said they came specifically for the market and then visited the high street afterwards. So, yeah, we seem to be achieving what we're aiming for.
Perfect. Okay, next steps then. We're talking about future events, Liz?
Yeah. So this is what we've got planned next. It's been a very, very busy time lately with the launch of the lottery and all the planning for the hub and stuff. So we have the next event is going to be Scarefest. This should have happened last year, but we had to postpone it initially because of high winds. The screen would not have survived. So we had to cancel that. We then tried to do it again in November, but then the tier system wouldn't allow it. So what we thought was we'll just keep it until this year, and we will do it a wee bit bigger. So now instead of 4 movies, we're going to have 5 movies shown over the 2 days. So it's a drive-in movie event, and we're holding it at East Fife Football Club's rear car park. So you can choose from Hocus Pocus for the kids, or The Witches, the new one, because that's pretty good. I've watched it myself. I really enjoyed that. And then you've got classic films like Poltergeist and the very first Halloween, or you have A Quiet Place, which I've not seen yet, but I've heard really good things about. And they're actually...
Yeah, boy, that's a scary film.
Is it?
The sequel's coming out soon as well.
Yes.
So that's a real scary film. Don't watch that on your own, for goodness sake.
A good challenge out there for all you people. Tickets are live on Eventbrite at the moment. If you just search for drive-in movie Scarefest, you will find it. Stick in Levenmouth there as well, just to make sure you get the right one. And you can choose whichever movie you like. Now, this has been sponsored by some local companies, businesses. So you'll see Fife Properties logos on there. So thank you very much, Jim and crew. We've also got Alex Little, the Windsor Hotel, and we've got the Leven programme, crepe competitions, and supported by Fife Council and Bragg Enterprises. So it's a real community effort, these events. So we hope this will go down really well. People are dying to get there, as Sue would say. And speaking of Sue, I'm now going to hand over to Sue, and she can tell you exactly how you can help us.
Right, so guys, just coming back to what we kind of touched on before, why are we doing this? The main reason that we're doing this, that we're opening the hub, everything, is to bring tourism into the area. Like Brian said, it's to bring new people in. So as well as obviously wanting something for, entertaining for the people of Levenmouth to do, the idea and what we're going to be working hard on is bringing people into the area. So we want people from St Andrews, people from Edinburgh. We want the tourists here. And then once they're here, to stay here. And again, we touched on the railway earlier. Once people get off that train, there has to be some stuff for them to do that's interesting to keep them here and spending their money in Levenmouth. So I'm just going to go through this. What help do we need to make this work? Well, first of all, we need volunteers. Obviously, we are a charity. We're a registered charity. We do need volunteers for all our projects. The markets specifically, you know, we're not that brawny, so we could really do with a hand putting the gazebos up on a Saturday morning. It's only once a month. Even if you could just do an hour, it would be really, really fantastic. If you're looking for work, obviously you can put that down on your CV, you know, that you've got work experience, that you're willing to volunteer. That always goes really well. You know, if you are looking to get a job, that you've put yourself out there to do that kind of thing. So please do get in touch if you fancy doing that. We'll need help with the lottery. If you're good at social media, that would be great. We're going to need some scary jumpers at the Scarefest if you fancy dressing up and jumping out of the cars. So, and obviously when we open the hub, there's going to be lots of positions there as well. So if you want to volunteer, then it would be great if you could get in touch with one of us at Together Levenmouth. Next one is obviously just to spread the word. So talk about us to your friends, talk about us to your family, talk about the things that we're doing. Make sure that you have liked all the pages that we've got. And yeah, just tell everybody that you can, because that's one of the best ways, is just word of mouth. Join the steering group. If you have got something that's not that great to say about us, come and tell us at the steering group. Don't talk about it elsewhere. We're there to make things right. We're here to help. So we need to know, if you think that we're doing things wrong, come and tell us. Join the steering group. Be part of how it's shaped. Be part of how it moves forward. We'd love, you know, as many people from the community as we can join the steering group. So yeah, get involved in that way. The next one I've got on there is have a game of golf, buy a lottery ticket. So actually get involved by, you know, putting your money where your mouth is. Come to the markets, bring your mates for a game of golf, go and use the escape rooms, you know, do some team building and buy some lottery tickets. It all goes back into your community. So please do support us. Next thing I've said there is obviously give us honest feedback, but not too honest. You know what I mean? So
you know what I mean?
Any constructive if you can, that would be fab. On a serious note, I'm just saying, you know, if we work together, we really can, you know, make a big difference. And you know, if we work together, Levenmouth, yeah, see what I did there? Yep. And we can really move forward. Sorry?
She's here all week. Try the fish.
I'm dry as anything during the day, but get me on a wine at night and I'm fine. But no, I'm just going to say we won't always get it right, like I've said, but we will learn by our mistakes. We will adjust and we'll move on. We're really, really passionate. I hope that's come across tonight. If it hasn't, come and see us in person. We want to make a difference. We're there to help. Trust me, we don't get paid a lot. We do this because we really, really want to make a difference in that area. So please support us. And that's it. I'm going to pass over back to you, Jim. Thank you.
Perfect. I think questions and answers next. So if anybody's out there and they want to ask any questions, please feel free. For first of all, the one I would probably the ones that I've been asked before. I've been at meetings. You know, the W. Smith building. How long is this all going to take? You know, to get that up and running, because you've only just taken it over, haven't you? Yes.
But the initial plan was to have it ready by October, purely because the funding that came through, which was to improve town centres, which came from Scottish Government, it's supposed to be spent by October. As you can imagine, we only just bought the building. There's planning and everything to go through. There are massive problems with getting materials. There's massive problems with getting any labour at the minute, as you will know, Jim. I think you've done a couple of posts about it yourself. We're really struggling on that side. But, you know, we're working through the problems as much as we can. We've had to change out chipboard because there isn't any for ply. We've managed to get some second-hand ply. I think we've got another shipment coming from Ireland. We're doing what we can when we can. So it's doubtful it'll be open by October, but we will keep everyone informed. If you look in the windows, you'll see work has started, some of the stuff that we were allowed to do before the building warrant came through, even though that now has. But so yeah, we will keep you up to date on the website and on the Facebook page.
Is there anybody in the community that could actually help you with this, or is it specific contractors that you've got to do this?
it's specific contractors, but we are actually trying to use anybody local. So the contractor we've got is local. We're always going Leven first if we can before we have to go out. One thing we need at the minute, if anyone knows anyone that does ventilation, air heating systems, things like that, that's local. I think we've got one guy, but yeah, we always need to get 2 or 3 quotes. So yeah, we're always going local first, and then we're spreading it out to Fife, and then we'll look out with Fife. But we're always going Levenmouth if we can go.
I think that's a fantastic thing, because I think the big projects in the past have always been subcontractors that have come in from outside. And there's been a huge criticism that all this money has been spent on doing things like that, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's everybody. It's nothing to do with the community coming in to do the work.
Exactly.
So it's absolutely fantastic that you're doing that. So just going on from there, then who is all this aimed at? Is this a community thing, or is it trying to bring people in from the outside, or is it a combination of events? You know, what is that?
Again, I can take that.
Absolutely. Just jump in when you can. You don't need to, no formal. This is just a quick discussion, almost like a wee discussion over coffee.
Okay, or wine, even, Jim.
Yeah.
So it's both, basically. It is. It's both. It's the community. It's a community thing, as in the money that it makes is going to be spent back in the community. But it's a thing to bring tourism in the area, because it's not just about us. We don't want this just about us. This is about Levenmouth as a whole. So it's not just to make us busy. We want to regenerate the high street. And one of the ways that we can do that is by increasing the footfall to the high street. At the minute, it's not brilliant. So no one wants to open up a new shop there. And it's one of those catch-22 situations. They can't open up without the footfall increasing, but the footfall won't increase when there's not enough shops. So by us doing this, hopefully we can increase that footfall, and then we can bring people, you know, to the high street, and then hopefully shops will start. And the one thing I forgot to say earlier is when the exhibition space goes in the shop, that's going to be used as pop-up shop. So if you've got an idea locally and you want to try a little shop, you know, a bit of space, you'll be able to do that. I think I put in the business plan that you know you can get like a week free. Give it a go, you know, maybe, and then do it on a really low rent. And then you could maybe take from there a market stall. And if the market stall goes well, it might be that 2 or 3 of you, you know, that we could work with Fife Council and see if 2 or 3 of you can get a shop together for 6 months and see how that goes. Do you know what I mean? So it's building up, it's regenerating slowly, but this will allow people to do that.
Okay,
we already have people. Sorry.
On you go, Shell.
We already have people coming along to the markets who are interested in taking that space. So that looks really positive already. But we need new money in the area. So like Sue says, as a bit of both. We need new people to come in, but we also need the localers to take interest in it and invest in their community.
Yeah. I mean, that's it, really. It's you want to make money and the
Absolutely.
community and actually reinvest it back in the community. We've got a question from Susan Dryborough. So Susan's asking, how does the steering group currently meet?
You want me to get that one? So at the moment, we haven't actually had a steering group. I think we've had one during the whole pandemic. We used to be at Thompson House. I think we had about 8 or 9 people, local people, on the steering group. We also have elected members there as well. So we've had them, but we kind of scaled it back because of the pandemic. But we're hoping to reinvigorate it as we kind of come out of the pandemic. And this is really good. We're looking to have new members. It's likely at this stage we'll probably have any meetings at Thompson House or virtual even, if people are comfortable with coming in still. But obviously, once the hub opens, there's an opportunity for us to use some of the space at the hub to have them. But certainly, if it's something that people want to put their name forward for, they just need to get in contact with us and say they're interested in being a member of the steering group.
Perfect. How would they get in touch with you? What sort of platforms through Together?
You send an email to inquiries@bragg.co.uk. And that comes in an email that I monitor, so I'll pick that up.
Okay, great stuff. So just a quick question. How do we get a lottery ticket? Where are they?
Do you want to take that one, Shell? Go on, Liz.
Oh, on you go, Liz.
Now.
So there are various local stockists in the whole of the Levenmouth area. I can't rattle off every single name. But in Buckhaven alone, we've got Hometown Treats, Ahmed Brothers, Taj Food Stores, Stewart's the Bakers and Butchers, and Key Store up in the Bird Scheme as well. So that's my local ones. We've got a lot, I think all of the Stewart's the Bakers. And
every single Stewart's the Bakers has one. Whether it's Lower Methil or on the High Street or out with, even London Links has them.
Yeah.
The shop next to Stewart's the Bakers in London Links has them. Craig Boyd Hairdresser has them. Sid's and Kenneway has them. The Windygates Pub Altus has them. So there's in every single area in the Levenmouth area, there is somebody that sells them. I think the only place we didn't get was West Weems, and that's because there's no actually really a shop along there that could sell it. Oh, Perfect Scoop in East Weems as well. Sorry, I can't forget.
Even Craig Boyd as well in Silverburn Park. So there's quite a few different areas that you can get them from. We're trying to push the local retailers. But some people are more comfortable about doing things online. In that case, we have our website is now live. You can now book a lottery ticket for multiples of weeks or multiples of lines via togetherlevenmouth.co.uk.
All the stockists are listed there as well, aren't they, Liz?
Yes.
Yeah. And also there's also a pinned post. There's a Google map. So if you're more a visual person, you can't really think with just the name of a shop. You can actually see where it is by going on to Levenmouth, the Levenmouth Community Lottery Facebook page, and you'll see the pinned post there is a Google map with all the stockists on it.
Perfect. I'm going to ask a controversial question now. What do you say to the people that say the high street's dead and it'll never be resurrected?
Can I get that one?
Absolutely.
I think what has happened is the high street as we know it has changed. Not dead, it's changed. And us as consumers have changed it. Unfortunately, the space has not changed to suit us as consumers. So the high street now is for things that you can't buy online. So the traditional retail. Now, the one criticism I think many people had of the high street was every high street was the same. They had the same chain stores in every town. So if you think back to your childhood, or certainly my childhood, when you could go, we lived in Dunfermline, my mother and my grandmother would go for a day out to Kirkcaldy because they had a Marks and Spencer's in Kirkcaldy and a British Home Stores, and they didn't have that in Dunfermline. So to a certain extent, that's what it was like in old days. You went to the towns that had the better selection of shops. But what then happened is every shop, every high street, big high street then had a Marks and Spencer's or a British Home Stores. So there was nothing to separate them. So it then became more about convenience. And then we had a situation where we started charging for car parks because we all wanted to park at the door, particularly when it was a wet, miserable day. So the high street has changed as an experience. In the past, it was retail, and there was big money to be made as a retailer in the high street, and big rents to be made from the owners of property in the high street. So property prices in the high street were excessive. Rates in the high street were excessive. But these big chains were making enough money to justify it. But over time, what has happened is the consumer, because of convenience, has said, right, we want to go to out of town because we can park at the door, we get a nice big modern building, or we find a shopping centre and everything's under cover. We don't have to walk about in the rain. So we as a consumer have done that. At the same time, we've also had the move to online shopping. So there's been less and less reason for us to go to the high street. So it doesn't matter how much money government, local authorities spend on new streetscapes or pedestrians areas or new planters. If the experience and the reason to go to the high street isn't there, we vote with our feet. We just don't go. Now, we all complain about the death of the high street, but we are all responsible for it. So what has happened now is, for a period, we went through the people that started moving into the high street were all the charity shops. I think we've actually passed that phase now. And what we've got now is we've got tattoo artists, we've got barbers, we've got hairdressers, we've got coffee shops. And it's what we call, and there's plenty of research out there that tells us that, it's experiences. People go to the high street now to get stuff they either can't buy online, like a haircut, not that I go very often, or to go to meet friends at the pub, or to meet friends for a coffee, or a chat, or a wee wander round. That's the high street. So what you've got to do is you've got to fulfill that by saying, right, what we're going to do is give somebody a reason to come to the high street. Retail still exists, it just doesn't exist in the high street. But small retail can still survive. The things, again, that you where you want that personal touch, and it's more the artisan style. You're buying stuff that you can't buy in Tesco's or you can't buy at the supermarket. So small niche type providers do very well. And if you look at the towns that still do well, are those where you've got that combination and innovation in relation to the type of businesses that exist. But crucially as well, you've also got people who come at the high street who've got money in their pocket. And when you consider the amount of people that drive past the Levenmouth area, particularly during the summer, to go to live in holiday homes or stay in accommodation up the Nook, who are from Edinburgh or London, and they're in the area and they've got money to spend for them and their families. And if you're in that area and it's a wet, rainy day and you've been to the beach and you're thinking, right, I've got 3 children here, what do I want to do with them? You're looking for somewhere to take them that you can have a good day out, and you've got money to spend. So let's go to the high street. We'll go, we'll do the escape rooms, we'll basically go wander around the high street, we'll get coffee, and we'll maybe go to the kino and watch a film. Yeah. That's the kind of thing that we're trying to do. So the high street as a retail experience has changed, and we have to recognise that it's changed and come up with a new offer. Now, as Sue alluded to there in relation to us inspiring people to consider opening their own shop or their own experience, I think that's fine if you've got lots of small shops. Now, Leven has, and to a certain extent, the Levenmouth area in relation to the small towns that make up Levenmouth area, have lots of good things. In fact, they've got lots of little units. And so there's lots of first steps for people to get a small shop and begin trading. But what has been recognised in many a high street is the gap, and the problem is the big department stores. So the 2 big ones that were in Leven was the Cummings building and the W.H. Smiths, because the difficulty for that is too big for a small retailer, and it also comes with huge rate liabilities in relation to business rates. And many businesses won't touch it because of the rate liabilities. Now, one of the advantages that we have as a registered charity, we get mandatory rate relief. So it makes it easier for us to make a business case in relation to running it profitably than it would be for a commercial business who has to invest a lot more to get it where it needs to be. So it's like that old adage that the king is dead, long live the king. The high street is dead, long live the high street. I think there's some fantastic opportunities. Leven High Street particularly, it's very compact. It's still got that traditional high street feel about it, and crucially, it's surrounded by parking.
Free parking.
Yes, and there's very few high streets or town centres in Fife or Scotland for that matter that can say that. Yes, you can go to Edinburgh for the day, but it'll cost you £25 to park your car. So come to Leven, it's free, and when you're finished doing your activities in the high street, you can go and take a wander down the beach.
We're beginning to see a lot of more sole traders coming into the high street, people running their independent businesses rather than corporations. And that
transition is going to continue, I think, Jim. We're starting to see a reversal of the big chains are moving out, and we're starting to see a return to the old traditional high street where it was small independent businesses and local traders, and that's, for me, that's the most inclusive growth that we'll ever have as a country, as if we can encourage people start their own business and trade with their neighbours, and it creates a real sense of community. And we've also seen situations where we're trying to say, well, the other thing that needs to come back into town centres is people who live there. For a long time, these property pension companies that owned most of the high street were in a situation where they rented out the ground floor because that was where they made all their money, and the upstairs, which had previously been offices or flats, just got left redundant, and that's space that could become business space or become homes for people. So we need to reinvent the high street and actually turn this space back into the space that people either work in or live in, to really turn our town centres back into communities again.
Fantastic. That's a great answer. And I absolutely agree with that. It's about the lifeblood of the small businesses within the high street. And it's exactly what you say. You know, it just takes one big corporation or supermarket to pull out the high street, and then it's almost dead. It's destroyed it. So, one goes down as a small trader, and then the rest still keeps running. But it is a service experience, isn't it? It's that's what people need to go for. It's no longer, you're right, the online shopping experience is where people go, but this is a more service orientated thing. How will this interact with the new train station, for example?
I think I go back to my earlier point about the fact that the town centre is very compact.
Yeah.
You know, when you consider when the train station goes in and we've got the bus station right next to it, people are getting off the bus, they've got the connectivity in relation to moving around, but they've also got a situation they can get off the train, they can within minutes be in the town centre. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity. I mean, one of the real lessons that was learned from the Borders Railway, when the Borders Railway was put in, was they spent £60 million putting a railway down to Galashiels and into the Borders, and never thought about anything else. But we've got to put a railway in. So they opened the railway. So loads of people in Edinburgh or from around central Scotland thought, I'll go on that new railway. They got on the train, they went down to Galashiels, they got off at the train station, and they looked around and went, wow, this is grim. There's nothing to do. There's nothing open. There's nowhere to stay. So they got back on the train and went back to Edinburgh and went, well, we won't go back there again. We've been on the train. So ultimately, part of the £10 million investment from Scottish Government and Fife Council is to basically say, we need to start now building a structure so that when the railway does open and people come on that train, there's attractions for them to see and things for them to do. Yeah. Whether they're a business traveller or whether they're a traveller that's basically coming, for a day or a week or a weekend, we need to give them accommodation. We need to give them activities to do. We've got to show them how great it is. And the great thing about where the railway's coming in is you're right on the beach. You're basically coming in on the foreshore. So you've got the high street within walking distance. You've got the beach within walking distance. The crucial thing is we need to then tap into that travelling public.
We can make it a destination.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been a comment from David Sleet. I mean, David runs an organisation which supports as well, and the service experience is the only flexible point of a smaller business collectively have. Elevating the service experience is about the most important part of surviving past the pandemic. And that's effectively what you're saying there. So David's in agreement completely. That's it, guys. I think if there's any further questions, if anybody wants to ask them later on, we're more than happy to go on and answer these questions later on these posts. More than happy to do that. But for now, guys, thank you very much for coming on the show. This will be available on a podcast later on as well, so you can listen to it at your own leisure rather than having to sit down and physically watch it. And thanks very much, guys, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
And Jodie, can I just say we have seen your comment and we'll answer it on Facebook. Sorry that we didn't get round to it, but I'll do it just now when we finish.
I've got so many comments coming up. We're going to be here for the next hour.
If anybody has got any more comments, just pop them on and we'll get round to them. If not tonight, we'll answer them tomorrow. Just put them on our Facebook page. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, thanks very
Thanks,
much for coming on, guys.
Okay,
and
thank you.
bye for
Thanks,
now.
bye.
Yes, thanks, Tim.